Welcome to Unconfuse Me. I'm Bill Gates. What got you into the plant-based food area?
So, for me, food has always been the greatest social adhesive. Once I started doing Fallon, I've become friends with Anthony Bourdain, and, he was sort of mentoring me in terms of food being art and that sort of thing. So I threw these things called food salons. And food salons were kind of social events where I'd invite like 60 of my friends, some of them authors, some of them artists, some of them just regular people, to my spot. And I would have three of the best chefs come and they would collaborate on a dish together for my guests. And the thing that Anthony warned me about is you can easily get caught up in the sort of the high end 1% of people sort of think like that level of food eating and dining is only for like the privileged and the rich. And he's like, you got to also explore other areas. So in about 2 months, we wanted to mix up, not just have Michelin and James Beard chefs over, but like local people that we could amplify. And it just so happens that we decided to go rogue one night and like, hey, let's shock everybody and just have like a Shake Shack as the meal for tonight. And it just so happens that my partner, Alexis Rosenzweig, had read this article about a guy named, Patrick Brown, who apparently had this new technology, Impossible, where this hamburger cooks well and all this stuff. And, my thoughts back then with like anything vegetarian or vegan or, I was like 430 pounds. Like I was a junk food. I'm from Philadelphia. I breathe cheesesteaks. So it just so happens that Patrick happened to be in town.
Amazing.
And so it was like, hey, let's do a thing like we do a blind taste test and, Shake Shack versus this plant-based thing. Like it's supposed to be a hamburger that tastes like hamburger but plant-based. And I was like, yeah, that should be fun. Like I just wanted a party trick. And I did 3 of the tests and every time I chose the Impossible Burger. Somehow I just saw the future and I don't know, something told me like plant-based is going to be the future. And I'm the guy that was like, always rolled my eyes at anyone who like, oh, you shouldn't eat, animal flesh. That was back in like 2011, 2012. I mean, 10 plus years later, I've been in a lot of first round investments for, Impossible, Notco, Eat Just, Right Rice, Magic Spoon cereal, Appeal. There's a lot of them, but I just feel as though that's the future, and I want to be the person that plants the seed. Yeah.
Yeah, one thing that's cool is that it gets rid of the animal cruelty thing, but it's also a big climate thing.
Yes, absolutely.
I came to it more from that climate angle, and I got to meet Patrick Brown. He's very, great scientists, and they're doing well, but, a lot of people want them to make it even slightly better. They have a good roadmap, so I'm optimistic.
The thing is, kind of the cool thing about, especially with Impossible, is, that was back in 2012, 2013, I think. And, I was impressed then. But since then, they've improved and improved. And the thing is that I always felt as though, there's a lot of social issues, especially with Black people in the inner city, that we have yet to get to. And I'm a person that I always wanted to know, why are the worst foods, the high sugar foods, the fatty foods, why is that so accessible? Why is that so cheap? And one day Magic Johnson was a guest on The Tonight Show. And, I happened to be looking at the production notes because I have to play a walk-on song. And I usually craft the walk-on song about whatever they're there to promote. And I looked and it was like Magic Johnson's TGIF Fridays. And I went down to his room. I'm like, wait, you're here to promote your Fridays restaurant? And I was kind of ribbing him about it. And he's like, no, this is the most important of all my ventures. This is the most important one. And when he explained it to me, that was my Doc Brown flex capacitor, like eureka moment. He told me that where he strategically placed these Fridays are in neighborhoods in which you can't even get a salad within 20 or 30 blocks. Now, I'm from West Philadelphia, so we would have to go all the way out to Upper Darby, Pennsylvania, to buy food instead of going to the local neighborhood supermarket. And that's because there was a variety of fruits and vegetables and fresh things there. And once he said that, I realized, like, oh, okay, this also explains my weight and all this. Like, the fattiest foods in the world were accessible to me. I kind of want to change the narrative because I think people have this impression. First of all, there's just no education on how it's made. There's a lot of misinformation. And then on top of that, I just think that the reason why I invested in the Impossible cheesesteak was I wanted to show Philadelphians locally that just because it's plant-based doesn't mean that it's boring or bland.
Subscribe to Unconfuse Me wherever you listen to podcasts.